How's it going, guys? Today I got you guys another beautiful set of lights here. Today I'm reviewing the Genaray SSL-836B, which stands for bicolor. So don't go anywhere, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be covering here. Right here you're looking at the SSL-836B, which again stands for bicolor, and above this is a Genaray SSL-50B, which is the same bicolor but on a 50-inch version. I've been bugging Genaray to actually make an 80-inch light. Maybe one day they're gonna listen, because as a matter of fact, on the other light here, the SSL-50B that I reviewed, one of the comments there, they had a question with the, I have a 3-meter long green screen, and then is this light long enough to light the green screen? You know, you gotta back up the light in a way that's gonna be lighting the green screen evenly. So if they made the 80-inch, because most backgrounds are at least 2.5 meters tall, but right now we're gonna be focusing on the SSL-836B. This is the brand new item from Genaray, and the other SSL-50 I actually had it for about a year ago, and that was only daylight only, and then they released the 50-inch here, and then this one here is actually the 36-inch. And a quick disclaimer here, Genaray has sent me the slides for me to test it out. That doesn't alter my review in any way, shape or form. Also, this video is not sponsored by Genaray. I say whatever I want to say here. I'm not paid to say anything. All I'm doing here is reviewing some gear for you guys, and there is no preview of any kind. They're watching the video at the same time as you guys are doing, and that's all that is. And just in case you guys want to double check something here regarding noise on your audio, these lights here, they're fanless. That means no fans whatsoever. And also these lights here, they don't get hot when you actually crank this up to 100%. They just get slightly warm, unless it is a very hot day outside, but this light usually remains cool. They have a very nice heat dissipation, and again, no fan on these lights. So the advantages of using this light over here, as you can see, again, this is a wider light. The closer you place this light to the subject, again, because it is a wider light, the softer the light will be. And by the way, you can even see the LEDs here. It doesn't matter if you crank this light to 100%, 50% or 1%. The panel here that they're placing here, you cannot see the LEDs at all. Which, by the way, eliminates the use of bringing extra softboxes. Sometimes I'm going to shoot, I have to get the COB lights going on, plus the softbox. And this eliminates that process because, again, since you can't even see the LEDs here, this light is as soft as an actual softbox. Even if you use the strip softbox, which is the closest look that this light will provide. And these barn doors here also do a great job attenuating the light. The SSL-50B has a beam angle of 75 degrees and also features 400 LEDs, and it's about 80 watts of power. This one here has an excess of 1024 LEDs. It's about 112 watts as far as I remember, and also the beam angle is 110 degrees. Both of these lights here, color temperature wise, they range both from 3000 degrees Kelvin all the way to 5600 degrees Kelvin in 50 Kelvin increments. If you want to know any other things about the CRI, the LCI, the lumens and the lux or whatever, I'm going to be leaving everything here so you can actually pause the video and take a look at whatever it is else that you want to check it out. Including with this package here, you're going to find a dimmer control box with a V-mount or a ballast, a power supply, the lollipop mount, a power cable, a V-mount strap, an antenna, and a carry case with the shoulder strap, and a limited 1-year warranty. Actually, one of my favorite things here besides the light itself is actually the case that this thing comes with, because every time that I get a light and it doesn't come with a case is very disappointing, because to find a case is literally a nightmare. That's if you can actually find a case. So everything Genaray makes here, I would say just 2 lights out of like 30 something that I review here, they don't come with a case. So Genaray makes a case for pretty much everything, which is great. And that particular case, when you show up on a set, it screams professional. In my opinion, it does, because the case is very nice and solid, shiny black. All the zippers are surrounded by a rubber material around the zipper, and inside the box has the laser cut compartments that you can actually fit everything separate, so nothing rubs against each other, and everything inside the case remains what it should be. Nothing's going to be jumping the power supply, touching the light or anything like that. Everything is very tight there, so nothing moves, which is great. I'm shooting with the Canon C200. Right now I have the 70-105, which is an f4, which is a rather dark lens, and both of these lights here are set to 1%. And by the way, the exposure that you see here, look how close this light is to the back of my head here. So this actually can be a very nice fill light, a key light, and especially a backlight. So if you want to get these lights as a kit, I would actually use this one here as a hair light, backlight, or anything else, because it is a shorter light but very wide light, which you can actually control don't show with the barn doors, and the other ones you can actually do as the key light or vice versa. So either if you want to buy one or two of these or decide to mix and match the 50-inch version, the 36-inch version, depending on the situation here, you can actually use the wider light as the main key light and the other one as a background, especially if you want to do a kind of a pattern, some kind of a diagonal thing on the background is great. Or you can actually use that one as a key light and this one here because it is wider. An interview of 3 people here, you can actually place this light on the boom and it's going to be shining very nice and equally and evenly everybody's head. So either option here, either way that you want to use this light, I think they're going to work just fine. And again, just the fact that I don't need to set up a softbox, all you need is a stand, the power supply and the light itself and the barn doors, and there's no assembling to do. When you actually buy this light, you open the box there. When you unbox everything is already set up. There is zero maintenance to do. You just take this thing out of the box and start using. Everything you see here is made of metal, including the barn doors, the light itself. And the only thing that's plastic here are the hinges, and if this ever comes loose, it requires just a regular screwdriver that you can actually come on here and just tighten down a little bit, and the whole thing is back to brand new again, very nice and tight. Another thing that I like about this lollipop there, because it is semi-tightened, this light is not going anywhere, but you can actually slightly adjust the light if you want to tilt a little bit there, and it will stay. You want to place it back to the way it was before there, and you're not forcing anything, you're not damaging the ball there, because like I said, it's not super tight and you don't have to over tighten anything. So when you do this here, nothing goes anywhere. By the way, you can actually use the lollipop to mount the light this way or completely on a horizontal position. If you need more tilting on the light, you can also do that because the spigot here that the lollipop has, it accepts mounting the light this way or this way. The one thing I don't like about the systems here, and this is not only applying to the Genaray, Godox, the VL200, VL300, they also make the same thing, which features that little nylon little thing that you actually hang on the light stand here. The problem with that is because when you actually transporting the stand or moving the stand or even tilting the stand, this thing is going to be dangling here. So thanks to the awesome whoever that is that designed this actual ballast here, it allowed me to actually do my own design, which is a I'm going to be showing you guys on the other video that I did reviewing this light over here, so I don't have to actually film and say the same exact thing. So sometimes I'm going to be borrowing parts of the video from the SSL-836B, which are things that I already said before. So you're going to be seeing me jumping back and forth from a video, borrowing stuff from the other video. So that thing on the side almost looks like a shoe mount. So all I have to do is to do a dual bracket system, which I actually bought several pieces of hardware. I'm going to leave the link on the description here. And also I'm going to be explaining here step by step how to mount this precisely. So when you actually mount the ballast on the back there, it's going to be very safe and very quick to set up. And the way I made the setup here, you can actually install the heaviest V-mount battery. The ballast is going to remain in the same place. It's not going to be wanting to swing or anything like that. You can actually transport the stand with the light on, the V-mount, everything hooked up there very safely. Even if you tilt the stand, the thing is not going to tilt because it is a dual bracket system. So the first thing you want to do is to remove those two little discs there and leave the shoe mount only with the little screw. And then when the screw is sticking out here, just insert a rubber washer so you don't scratch the finish of the ballast. And then you're gonna need also a quarter 20 to quarter 20 female that you also find on Amazon, but I thought it was too expensive. So the cheapest way to get this is go to Lowe's, go to the hardware, one of those specialty drawers there. And on the other side of the female thread there, you're gonna need a quarter 20 to quarter 20 adapter. And the last piece of the puzzle, it looks like this here, one of those mini super clamps that you're actually going to use its quarter 20 female thread to actually finish building the whole thing. And use a wrench to lightly tighten so it doesn't go anywhere. That's going to be extremely stable, much better than the little nylon little hook that they provide. Trust me on that. And you can also transport very easily, even if other people are going to be transporting a stand. Nothing's going to be dangling all over the place. It doesn't scratch your V-mount batteries or without any risk to fall. I really like what I did, and you're also going to be finding this very useful. So when you buy this light, make sure you buy all this extra hardware there. So when you receive the light, you actually mount it very securely behind the lollipop. You can actually rise, lower the stand, and the whole light becomes one piece. It's like you're almost going to forget there's a ballast because the ballast is almost now becoming part of the whole thing, as if the ballast was built in. Because do you see the ballast here? There's no ballast. The ballast is in the back here. The ballast is actually attached to the lollipop. You can actually take it off the stand and give it to somebody to even walk with the light horizontal or vertical. If you're doing like a movie scene that actually requires the light to be following the actor and you need a vertical, very narrow kind of light, you can actually use this light to walk around, because everything is actually consolidated into a single unit. There's nothing that's gonna fall or tilt or anything like that, so that's again perfect. Now this light, like any other light, obviously you can actually run via the AC outlet, and depending where you are in the world, United States and Brazil, both of these countries, they use 110 volts, or the rest of the world 220, 240. The actual power adapter is gonna automatically switch to the correct voltage for whatever country they use this light, but they also can run via V-mount battery, which they include a very nice and compact ballast. The connection is very simple. It's provided a 4-pin XLR, which all we have to do is twist and lock, and the ballast, they're quite attractive and also very compact. I love that little blue display there, and the numbers are very easy to read. And the light intensity ranges from off or 1% in 1% increments all the way to 100%. And the color temperature varies between 3000 Kelvin and 5600 degrees Kelvin. And if you have one of those budget panels, they're great to kind of flood the background with a little light, or doing some accent lighting that I'm doing here. But they're barn doors, they never work. You try to close the barn door, you still have light spill all over the place. And these barn doors here, they're actually very short, but somehow when you actually tilt this barn door here, you can actually see that this thing actually really works. So you can actually do some pretty creative stuff. Let's say that you're shooting somebody and then you want, like, half of the face lit or something, or if you want a very narrow beam of light on the background, or even at a person. So there are many possibilities the way these barn doors, they work, and they actually really do work. And to mount a light with the included lollipop, it comes with the center pin there. Make sure you align there first. These lights here, they're made of metal, but they're not excessively heavy. They're made of aluminum, which is a pretty manageable weight, just in case you find the need to put this on a boom. Which, by the way, if you don't have a heavy duty boom, you can't really use these lights to hook up on a boom if you have a regular little Amazon boom, because that thing is not going to hold this light. And if you don't have any heavy duty boom, for example, I have reviewed this item here from Impact, which you should check it out. The link is right here. If you want to know everything about C-stands and actually a full demonstration of that stand or the boom pole, in case you decide you want to have this light up in the air there on a heavy duty boom, there you go. When it comes to lighting, everything comes in several shapes, several sizes, several types of power, several colors, RGB, bicolor, or daylight only. But what are the best uses for this light here? This particular shape, they both provide soft light, which eliminates the use of a softbox. That's a number one thing. Looking at the fact that both of these lights here, they provide very soft light, and also they're very long light. So the very interesting way to actually light, the easiest way, for example, if you have a group of 2 or 3 people being interviewed, you can actually put this light on top, highlighting their faces, and another one in the back, controlling with the barn doors, so avoiding light spills. You can actually have a beautiful soft backlight as well, or you can actually put one of these lights vertically, also controlling the barn doors fully open or fully closed. Not fully closed, but you know what I'm saying, to just highlight a little bit. You can also use this light for very dramatic effects if you close the barn doors like this, so you can actually light almost half of somebody's face. And I don't know if you are familiar with the inverse square law. If you don't know about the inverse square law for audio and video or whatever it is, it's a law of physics that applies to pretty much everything that you do in your actual life. Now, for lighting and audio, the inverse square law is extremely important because it makes a difference. The distance that you put the light, you can actually make a white wall become gray, white, or black, depending on the distance from the subject, and also the distance that you put the light and the subject towards the background. You can actually change the color of the background, also the intensity of the light, the look of the light. When I look at a magazine and I see a photograph of a particular person being lit somehow, I can actually tell how close or how far the light is because I'm familiar with this type of lighting. So when you see a subject that's very glowy, very soft light, and it just partially lit, is because the light is very close. And this light here, especially this one here, for being a slightly wider light, they do a very good job, especially if you place this light vertically. You can do some beautiful cinematic things with this light here, especially the fact they're very long, so it can actually be very useful. And again, it doesn't require a softbox. All you need is the light, open the barn doors, close them, and whatever it is they want to do. Another thing that I see a lot happening is, let's say, for example, you have a dancer, you're shooting a photography. It doesn't matter if it is video or stills, okay? You have a dancer, a ballerina, for example. She's like, lifting her legs or open the hands like this. And every time her hands is actually close to the light, guess what? This whole arm is going to be a lot brighter than the rest of the body because the light is very close. Now, if you want to avoid that problem, just back out the light a little bit. So once she does this, everything becomes evenly lit because the light is actually more far away but less intense, but it lights things equally, evenly. Now when you place the lights close to the subject, this is when you actually have that beautiful cinematic lighting control, but keeping in mind that whatever it is that you're doing with the light, you're gonna have some hot spots here, hot spot there, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. For example, for lighting a face, if you want that gorgeous soft light over here, you can also place the light slightly over here at 45 degrees this way here for the nice Rembrandt lighting, which is that little triangle shadow on the face. As soon as you back the light away, you can't have that look. Lighting placement is everything, and also for audio. If you speak on the mic this way here, as soon as you move 1 inch, you lost at least 12 decibels of sound pressure, which is gonna drive the sound guy absolutely insane. I hate when people do this. I always tell them, just to eat the microphone, literally. So it gives me a clean sound. That's why when you see professional concerts, everybody's pretty much sucking on a mic, because the snare drum, all that noise, the people screaming, everything, nothing is gonna be on a microphone, because the sound pressure is so great the microphone can't hear anything but your voice. As soon as you put the mic down, the sound guy is gonna have to up the volume there, and more background pollution is introduced to the mic. The same exact thing with lighting. So the inverse square law applies to every single thing that you do in every day of your life. If you don't know what the inverse square law is, also the 3-to-1 rule for audio, just search all this stuff on YouTube. You're gonna find a bunch of videos there, and YouTube is the ultimate university when it comes to something like this. I can't believe people actually go to school for video, cinematography, when you can actually learn stuff by yourself just on trial and error. This is actually, in my opinion, the best college there is. And also there is YouTube. Another thing that I know you guys want to know, how you're going to control this light here instead of going to the balance and change the settings manually, or if you actually have this light unreachable on a boom or something like that, you can actually have the Genaray SSL-836B remote, which is an optional purchase, and this is a very inexpensive remote. Unfortunately, there are no apps for this light, and even if that was the option to use an app, this is something that I never use. This light here, lighting my face, has an app. All the other lights that I have application, but guess what? I never use the app. I'm a big fan of a remote control, because if that gets damaged, it's only like $30-some instead of a $1,500 iPhone 12 Pro Max that you accidentally fail because, I don't know, you try to control the light. These phones here, they're round, they're very easy to drop. And if there wasn't a nasty bump on your phone here, if you wouldn't use this light, but anyway. So I don't like the inconvenience of having to lock the phone and then the screen dims again every 5 minutes or 30 seconds, whatever. I don't find that useful, especially on a bright day. It's very difficult to see the screen. So I don't like the app. So the answer is no. There's no apps for this light, and I think just this remote here is plenty good enough. So this is the Genaray SSL-836B remote control. It's quite simple. I'm not a big fan of this remote here because it times out very quickly. So whatever it is they want to do with this remote here, you gotta work it pretty quickly. Otherwise, you have to go to the several pages here. But it is a remote control, and you can actually operate this light at least using this remote control here. So if I want to turn off this lights here, just tap button here. When it highlights to dim, turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off, turn it back on. In 1% increments all the way to 100%, which can be done very quickly, all the way down to 0. I'm actually going to be changing the color temperature. Now 3000 Kelvin, all the way to 5600 degrees Kelvin. And I can actually tap here and dim the lights down, turn it off, and 100%, whatever you want. So let's talk about color temperature here. This actually confuses a lot of people. Let's say, for example, you have a fancy Sekonic C100 color spectrometer, and then you set this light here in the balance to 5600 degrees Kelvin, and then your meter is saying, no, this light is actually way off. It's actually falling on the 5475 degrees Kelvin, or maybe it's actually bluer. It's from the 5712 degrees Kelvin there. That has nothing to do with the accuracy of the LED light. What would be a bad thing is the inability of the LED diodes to provide you accurate color reproduction. For example here, this candy here, my eyes are actually looking at this particular purple here. So a good LED light is going to reproduce this beautifully, and if it is slightly warm or cooler, with what I just said before, all you need is a slight color correction on your editing software, and there you go. Now if this light had a lower CRI and TRCI, and then forget about it, okay? That's gonna provide a very horrible color rendition index, so don't confuse the two. So I think every panel that costs like $400 to $2,500, you're always going to be dealing with these wild swings, even though the light says it's at 5400 degrees Kelvin. Actually, it happens to be at 52, 59 degrees Kelvin. that's not an issue. Again, what the issue would be is the inability of the LEDs, the light coming out of this light. As soon as it hits my skin, if it gives a little weird purple or you know, don't confuse the two. So if this light is a little too warm for daylight, even though it says 5600 degrees Kelvin, okay, just cool it down or do the opposite way. There you go. So match to whatever it looks good to you. Because if you can deal with a couple hundred degrees Kelvin off, I don't think there's a light panel for you. Unless you want to spend $7,000, $8,000, or maybe a Rotolight Titan X2, the light is in excess of $5,000. So there you go. So even if you watch one of those little budget panels reviewed by somebody on YouTube that has the color spectrometer, the Sekonic C800, they actually measure the whole thing with even with those little $100 little panels there, and guess what the result is? The color accuracy is amazing, but they are, you know, a few hundred degrees off. But the actual color accuracy is perfect, whether it is on tungsten side or daylight. So again, don't confuse the two things. And that's the end of my review here. If you find this video useful, I don't have to tell you guys what you do, you know what you do. And I appreciate your time. And once again, thank you very much for visiting my channel, and thank you for your support, and I'll see you next time.